What's up, guys? Lane and Trish here, and welcome to episode 4 of our podcast, Making Moves with Lane and Trish.
Hey, everyone. Spring is here. I've been talking about spring for weeks, right?
I know, I think you're pretty excited about it.
I am so excited that spring is officially here, and the weather's getting better, and the birds are outside singing. I'm super pumped. I'm excited. So, you know what else I'm super pumped about?
What's that?
I'm super pumped about our topic this week.
I am too. It's
So how many of you guys out there have a hard time making decisions? I'm talking about like a really hard time. Like you get overwhelmed. You can't make decisions, right? You just keep pushing things off.
It can be tough sometimes.
It is officially called paralysis by analysis. And I suffer from it way more than Lane does. That is for sure.
Yeah, I make pretty quick decisions.
Wait, you almost said I make good decisions.
Well,
you make quick decisions.
I make quick
There's
decisions.
a difference.
Yes.
But I overthink things sometimes. Some things I'm really good at going real quick and just moving on and making my decision and going. And then sometimes, even on the littlest things, I can take a long time.
A really long time.
Like a long time.
Paralysis by analysis. It's a state of overanalyzing or overthinking anything. It's a situation that a decision or an action is never taken, in effect paralyzing the outcome.
So there's actually several ways a person can face paralysis by analysis. It's not just, putting decisions off or taking a long time. A lot of people become very overwhelmed when they have too many options. And I know a lot of times when you're doing something, if you're in sales or if you're anything like that, if you give someone too many options, it can create that analysis paralysis in someone, even if that's not something that comes naturally to them all of the time.
Yeah, because there's tons and tons of decisions out there that people have to make on a daily basis that we didn't have just a few years ago.
Yeah, it's always better to present several really good options, but try not to have too many, I think. That way anyone who's looking at it can much easier make their decision. But, also just people that overcomplicate decisions when they can be really simple. And we all know people like that. Just
absolutely
over and over and over and over and over analyzing something to the point that making the decision at that point is kind of irrelevant. The time has come and gone. We all hear it in sales and in real estate. Time kills deals, right?
Absolutely. And
people that sit around trying to overanalyze something often lose out on something completely. Well, and another way people face it is when they're trying to pick the quote unquote perfect decision or make the perfect decision, and they delay making the decision until they keep researching more and more and more, and they feel like they've got to keep doing their quote unquote due diligence. And obviously in some decisions, especially bigger ones, and there's some pretty big decisions we make in our lives that do require a lot of research or a lot of thought, and it is going to affect you and your life and maybe your family's life or your business, however it is, you can still overanalyze it.
I think a lot of times, unless you're an airplane pilot or a surgeon, I think putting off making a decision, I think it can be really to your detriment and actually hurt you worse than actually just making a decision now. Most decisions are never final, so you have to get out there, try something, and just make it happen.
Right. Well, I think so many people focus on what could go wrong. I think that's a big part of what causes a lot of the overanalyzing of situations and decisions that have to be made. And people worry so much about the negative outcomes that could come from a decision instead of simply getting excited about what could go right by making a decision and really jumping on an opportunity. And opportunities, they get lost, and people miss out on really, really big opportunities because they can't get themselves off the fence, right? That dreaded fence we all talk about when you've got someone and you just need them to get off the fence one way or the other. It's like, make a decision one way or the other and then simply live with it, right? But a lot of people miss really big opportunities because they sit up on that fence for way too long. Yeah. I know we almost did that.
Yeah, I know for us, one of the biggest things when we made the decision to join EXP, it was actually after looking at it for over 2 years and just kind of tearing the model apart and looking at every, facet and every detail of it. And I think I overanalyzed it a little bit more than I should have, just because, there's a lot of agents out there that would have joined with us that actually joined before us. And, that potentially was a very costly mistake.
Right. Yeah, the decision, I'm glad we made the decision when we did, but looking back at it and going, okay, I know this is a big decision for us. I mean, it was our entire brokerage that we moved
Right.
over, not just, us going over as individual agents, but it cost us the opportunity cost, which I think a lot of people really fail to look at that, far too often when they make decisions or when they don't make decisions in this case. The opportunity cost is huge. And, looking at what that could have cost us over time, those 2 years really could have cost us, I hate to say it, but several $1,000,000.
Yeah, or more.
But water under the bridge at this point. We
Yep.
finally did make the decision. But, I think people are the same thing. They're scared of making the wrong decision. That's another way that, gets people choked up when they're trying to make a decision is they stall completely and they avoid making a decision. And then, like I said, the opportunity completely passes them by. I know when I first started out in real estate, I printed up this sign and I had it sitting on the wall right behind my desk. And it was there so that I didn't have to say it out loud to the people that I was sitting in front of. And it made a whole lot of sense. It still makes a whole lot of sense today. Today, I usually just use it face to face. I'm a lot more comfortable with it now than I was when I very first got into real estate at 23. And I was like, I'm just going to have this sign. I'm going to let people read it for themselves.
I remember that sign.
Yeah. And now I use it very regularly in my conversation, but I'll be with clients and we'll be looking at properties and they'll find one that they really like and they'll want to sleep on it and they'll want to think about it till the next day. And, we often see in this market, things go quickly. And the sign read, if I remember it exactly correctly, because I use it every day now, it's the home that you looked at today and are going to think about until tomorrow is the same home that someone else looked at yesterday and is going to buy today.
Yeah, it's so true.
So true. And there was so many times when I would have people be like, all right, we're ready. And we want to put an offer in on that house that we looked at yesterday. And I had to be the bearer of bad news to them and tell them that someone else had already done that and already had gotten an offer accepted. So we see that every day these days in our industry, and I'm sure in other, sales industries and things like that too. So the quicker you can jump on something and wrap your head around the positive things that could come out of that decision, the better off you're going to be. If I have to think about it, let me think about some of the things. Obviously we're talking about some big decisions. Buying a house is a big decision. Making a move of our entire brokerage over to another real estate model, that's a big decision. I struggle sometimes with small decisions.
You do.
I had one recently. I'm thinking back a couple weeks ago.
It's pretty funny. Like if I stay in the car and she goes into the grocery store, like she'll say, I'm coming right back, 5 minutes. And then 10 minutes will pass, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. All the cars that were originally around us when we pulled up have all since left. And there's brand new people at the store. She's still in the store. Yet when she comes out, she only has a few items.
Well, I know recently I got pretty excited to find out that there was a brand new ice cream on the market. And it's been a while since we've indulged in ice cream, being on the keto diet and following a very low carb regimen, but
I don't have a sweet tooth like you do.
Oh, really?
Well, I do have a sweet tooth.
Okay, we're gonna leave it at that. No, I go in the store and I'm specifically gonna get this item amongst just a few others. And this ice cream is called Rebel ice cream. It's actually made in Austin, and it is specifically designed to fit in with the keto diet.
It is delicious.
It's low carb. It's got the right amount of fat and the right ingredients. It's all natural. So we're talking primo stuff here, right? Very exciting things. And I get in there and I get to the end cap of the freezer section, and they've got this ice cream displayed. It's all on display, and there it is. But guess what? I could not decide which flavor to
Too
get.
many choices.
I don't know. There's like 9, 10 flavors, 8, 9, 10, something like that. I'm like, should I get cookie dough? Should I get mint chip? Which one would Lane like better?
Decisions.
Peanut butter fudge? And I'm like, okay, I know. And I know what Lane likes. And we were only going to get 1 pint and we were going to share it. So this wasn't just like, hey, grab a couple and he can pick the one he wants at that point. I think I was honestly scared I was going to get one that he would not have chosen. And so I was going from that. I picked one. In fact, I think I picked cookie dough. Went through the rest of the store, grabbed a couple more things. And I don't know if I told you this or not, but I actually went back and put the cookie dough
You
back
did.
10 minutes later
Oh, my goodness.
and got mint chip. But hey, you liked the mint chip, right?
I did. But I like the cookie dough too.
You ended up, yes, because, okay,
The next day.
the next day, which the
Yes.
next day we went back and got cookie dough and butter pecan.
I don't know what it is with that ice cream. Whatever their marketing is doing
I think
to you,
in
it
the last
works.
2 weeks
Yeah.
we've had mint chip, cookie dough, butter pecan, peanut butter fudge, coffee chip.
And you know
That
what?
might
I
be it.
hadn't really gained any weight. So
No,
I think,
it's
I
worked.
think
It's
I
worked.
think
So
actually
all in
working.
moderation. All in moderation.
Kind
As
of.
with everything.
So what are some ways you think we can all deal with analysis by paralysis?
Well, so we kind of went over different ways that you can face it. But I think if you kind of dig into it and you go, okay, identify your objectives. Okay, so what do you want to get out of making this decision? What's your end goal? And again, we talk about that a lot with everything we do. What's your why? What is the end goal you want out of
Right.
this? And then differentiate between big and small decisions. So obviously we've talked about some big decisions, like we said, buying a house. Small decisions.
Yeah,
What
but I
type
think
of keto
that's-
ice cream to eat?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge one too, because I think people just get kind of bogged down in decision making, and they're trying to analyze all these different decisions. They need to like write them down and almost like a checklist. You need to kind of categorize them on a level of importance, just because they're spending way too much time trying to figure out what kind of ice cream to eat, and then they have a bigger decision to make. Then that bigger decision will definitely never get
You're going
made.
to pick on me forever about that, aren't you? Well, I think another thing that's super important, and this has been a hard one for me sometimes too, and it's been a hard one. I've had to like delegate things also, but understanding perfection's not the goal, so perfection's not key, and a lot of times, good enough is good enough.
And we say that all the time in real estate as well. When people are looking at houses, they look at every single house because they're looking for a perfect house, and a perfect house doesn't exist.
Right, and that's why we have a thorough buyer consultation with people in the beginning, and I make them make a list. What are your must-haves? What are your wants? And when we go through houses and we look at them, if we check off 80% of the items, I'm like, this is
About as close as you're going to get.
about as close as we're going to get. And then we got to look at that, ability for them to make a pretty quick decision at that point. But, I think too, eliminating the bad options. I talked about how, just getting overwhelmed with too many options. It's frustrating. So remove clutter, free up your mind to make the decision. And I think that helps a whole lot too. So, and like I talked about too, another way you can help with that is delegation. So if you delegate decisions to someone else, like next time we want ice cream, I'll make you go inside the store and you can go get the ice cream.
I'm
How
going
about
straight
that?
for the cookie dough.
You can get whichever one you want. I like all of them, and maybe
In fact, I might go there tonight and get some. That
Maybe
sounds
that's
good.
my problem. Is I'm super easy to please, and so that means that I go, I would like this
right.
one, I would like this one, I would like this one, and maybe I just need to realize pick one and go. Which that's the next thing. Pick one
I'm
and go.
gonna write a letter to the manufacturer of that ice cream and tell them that it's taking my wife way too long in the store and they need to make less options.
We could just buy the case with all the different flavors and have them ready at the house next time. And another way too, set yourself a hard, definite time limit on making a decision and stick to it. So, your time is precious and you don't ever get that time back. And time you spend worrying about something that you've got to decide to do or over analyzing it, that's time that you don't have to spend on something else.
Certainly. And I think there's a Bruce Lee quote, and it's short and simple, but it sums it up. It says, if you spend too much time thinking about something, you'll never get it done.
Yep, and you know what? Sometimes done is better than perfect.
Yes, I love that saying.
So, yeah, done is better than perfect. Good enough is good enough. And if you can't make these decisions yourself, you can't delegate it to someone else. Ask the opinion of someone you trust and just go with it.
And the thing is like, 99% of decisions are not final. And so just jump in, do something, and check it out for a few months. And if you don't like it, you can always change to something else.
Yeah, I know that's something that we had to come to terms with when we made the decision to go to EXP. And we set a hard time limit. Even after making the decision, we said, I'm going to do this for 6 months. And if I don't like it, we can always go back and do what we were doing before. We could do something completely different. And, it turns out it was an awesome decision. And we haven't gone back yet. Don't have any plans to. So it is one of those things that you've just got to jump in. So
Otherwise, you're going to continue to miss opportunity after opportunity. Yeah, and recently I was reading a Forbes article and it was talking about how you should also look at curbing your curiosity. You know, if you have this desire to just to always dig deeper and deeper into anything that you're doing, you know, it may satisfy your intellectual curiosity, but at the end of the day, what you're doing is stalling progress. And I think that's just a pretty interesting way of looking at it as well.
Well, you know what? I think we have analyzed paralysis by analysis for as much as I think we need to analyze it for right now.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, guys, well, that's our podcast. Like, share, subscribe, whatever the case may be, and we will see you on the next podcast.
See you next week.
Bye, guys.